My name is Mandy. I work with our onboarding team for Zoho CRM, but I also work with a lot of our other products. Zoho CRM is like my baby, but these others are kind of my adoptive kids too, I guess. And one of the products that I work with is Zoho Motivator. So Motivator is our kind of activity management platform that works on top of Zoho CRM, which means you have to have the CRM for Motivator to work. All of the data from Motivator is completely reliant on your sales and your activity data that you have inside your CRM account. So we're going to kind of go over a little bit of an agenda. We're going to go over the pieces that go into Zoho Motivator, how it's kind of made up and how it works. And then we're going to jump into a demo. I'm going to show you guys some basics, setting up some targets and some contests and things like that. And then I'll go over a customer use case that we have, and then we'll talk about some recent updates that we've made. The way Motivator works is it's going to be able to give you real-time analysis using KPIs. And that basically is just key performance indicators. And those are really business metrics that will help you identify and measure your progress towards any kind of goals that you have. So you're going to see these nice little graphs and charts inside Motivator. It's going to allow you to kind of drill down, take a look at trends, drill down your data, look at and identify some key sales activities that are leading to conversions inside your account. So it's going to give you real key visibility into your sales team's performance. All right, so once you have identified those key pieces that you can notice are really helping you close deals, you can turn around and you can actually create targets off of those indicators. So targets based on the activity that you know is going to end up leading to more sales. So once you create those targets, the next piece is that you would be able to add them onto scorecards and maybe even create contests. Now, a lot of times, the scorecards are enough. Just having a very simple spot where people can see what their target is and how much percentage they are to completing that and how much they have left, that's really helpful, right? They can go into a report, they can drill down, and they can kind of figure that out. But having this just quick snapshot up there to let them know, throughout the day, it's just going to be updated with real-time data from the CRM. It just gives them kind of an easy way to see that. And a lot of times that's enough, just having that way for them to kind of drive their schedule through the day. But you also can take it a step further and you can create a contest off of that. Now, contests are really good because it introduces some hopefully healthy competition into your sales team. Maybe depending on your sales team, that's not a good idea. They might get too competitive, but it'll actually end up benefiting you in the end. So you have to kind of weigh the cost of that. But you create a contest and it can be based off of the targets that you have or any KPIs that you have. And then hopefully that's going to motivate your team to kind of perform better. You don't have to have a prize associated with the contest. It's going to show you, and I'll show you guys here in a second, because the next piece is you would actually just put this up on a TV screen, and you can put this up in your sales floor, in your conference rooms, things like that. But just you'll see it gives you this little digital trophy next to your name. And I can tell you, for a lot of people, that's enough. They just like being able to see that they're number one, or that they're the winner, or that they have that trophy. They just want the recognition. But it doesn't hurt to associate a prize with this as well, right? If you give them some sort of incentive like an iPad or maybe like a gift card or, cold hard cash, that's always good too. All of these things can really help kind of motivate them. They're going to be like, I want that prize. So, the recognition might be out the window at that point. They just want that prize. So I can tell you, just giving like some little incentive definitely will work, and it can help motivate, which in turn benefits you. It can kind of help drive your sales. So how can it drive? I want to show you how setting a target can work and kind of give you this nice little graph. So this kind of is a good idea to work top down. The first thing you want to do is you want to have a goal in mind. So let's say you have a goal in mind that you would like to close $1 million in revenue for a quarter. And that sounds like a lot of money, so you got to figure out, how am I going to get there? So you can use Zoho Motivator. You can take a look at your KPIs and figure out that your average deal size is about $10,000. So from there, you kind of do the math, all right, so if I want to close $1 million in revenue and my average deal size is $10,000, then that means I need to get 100 deals closed. So for an entire quarter, I need my team to close 100 deals. That alone could be a target. You could say, hey guys, your target for this quarter is to close 100 deals. That's the target for the team, and then you could see what happens. But that's probably not going to be very effective. You want to try and drill it down a little bit further. So when you look further into it and you drill the data down a little bit more, you find that it takes you, your close rate's about 1 in 3. So that means you need 3 times the number of opportunities in your pipeline to be able to close those 100 deals and get to that $1 million revenue mark. Okay, so there you go. That's another target. You could say, okay, let's, instead of doing, that very vague, let's close 100 deals, let's just say, let's get 300 deals in the pipeline and see what it says. But you can actually go a little bit further. So you can drill down your data further, take a look and see, so we can try and make this a little bit more direct. You can find that it takes you about 90 calls just to get an opportunity in your pipeline. Now, who knows what's about to happen? What's about to happen is this bubble's going to get really big, right? If we're talking about 90 calls times 300 opportunities, it's 27,000 calls that need to be made by your sales team. And you might be thinking at that point, maybe I need to rethink my goal. But it's actually very doable, because you'll see over here on the right, if you break this down by the number of selling days that you have in your quarter, you've got 66 days, and you divide that out, you understand that's 410 calls per day. And if you've got 10 sales reps in your team, then that comes out to being 41 calls per day. That's a very attainable metric. Sales teams are good about just being on the phone and making calls all day long, especially if you have some sort of a goal attached to it or some sort of a prize that they might be getting out of it. You can kind of see how this data now flows down. If you got that goal of 41 calls per day and everybody's working on that, then it's really easy for you to reach your $1 million revenue mark. And so Zoho Motivator is going to be the tool that kind of helps you do that. I'm going to jump into a demo of Zoho Motivator. I'm going to just kind of run through some of the quick, getting this stuff set up. So this is your dashboard view on the homepage inside Motivator. And you'll see here, I've created some KPIs, some targets, and some contests, and you can view them all here on the homepage. All right, so a couple of KPIs that we've got on there, things that everybody's really going to care about, things like leads created and accounts created, deals, things like that. And what you can do is once you create a KPI, you'll notice that you can just click on it, and it's going to give you some really good detail, this kind of graph of what's going on overall. And then you can break this down if you need to. You want to see by team to see your different teams that are creating those leads. You can break it down by employee, and you can also break it down by any particular field that you have in the CRM. So maybe you want to break it out by industry, for example. And this helps you really kind of with configuring out what your KPIs and what your targets would need to be. So you can see here, you can identify like, oh, it looks like a lot of my leads that get created are coming from this leads or from this particular industry. So you can use this type of information to kind of figure out like which leads might be more, are the things you want to pay more attention to. So when you're ready to create a KPI, you'll just come into your home page here, and you'll see it's got these 3 buttons here at the top. You can just click on New KPI, and it's got some existing ones here. And so you can create a KPI. Usually people are going to want to do this off of sum, so just the number of leads that are created in the system or the amount of revenue that's been closed for a particular date range. But you can also do this off of average. So if you wanted, like we were talking about before, figuring out what your average deal size is, that can be helpful. Or you can do it off of like a ratio. So seeing things like the leads that are created versus the deals that created or the deals that actually end up getting closed. All right, so we're going to select sum for this. And then from there, you're able to add the behavior. So this is where we're going to tell it what module we're looking at. For that, we're just saying, off of sum, but of the sum of what? So here we can tell it if we want it to be off leads or accounts or contacts or deals. So we'll select leads. And then you can copy the rule from an existing behavior. And you can set your points. Now, most of the time, you'll want this to be 1 point per lead created. But if you want this to be like a bigger number, sometimes people like looking at bigger numbers. They don't want it to be super small. You have the option to also set different point values too. So you can set the specifics for when it needs to be created in a specific time period, or if you want it to be off of the modified date or the activity date instead. And then who needs to get the points when that happens. So if it's the creator or the owner, you're able to specific that. We probably want it to be the owner. And then you can set any specifics that you want below. So this is where we can get particular about, we looked at that industry earlier and we saw that like a lot of our leads come from a particular industry. So if you wanted to do that, you could just say off of a CRM field, and it's going to be any of your CRM fields. So any of the custom fields that you've added, all of that will be in there. So you can really set this off of anything that you like. And so we'll choose industry here. And then equals, and then we can select any of our industry options. So we had MSP there. We'll just go ahead and save that behavior and see what that looks like. All right, so once we've added our behavior, just down at the bottom, it's gonna let us know, hey, do you wanna increase or decrease this? This is important because while it's also good to look at like what is doing well for you, you might wanna look at it as an adverse way as well. If deals that are getting closed lost, you wanna decrease points based on that, and maybe set targets that are things they don't necessarily want to meet. All right, so we could do increase, and then we hit next. And then it's going to let us create a name for this. So we could just call this new MSP leads. You can add a description, and then you hit next. And it's going to give you a little bit of a summary here, so you can make any changes if you need to, and you save it. And then once you save that, that gets added to your homepage. I'll move on to the targets so that I can show you guys that, and then when we come back, you'll see it on the page. But your targets are listed here. So any of the targets that you've already created, you're going to see that it kind of gives you this nice, just little simplified box of what the target is, how far in the progress you are towards it, and also how many are needed. So it's really simple. Like I said, we're talking about the idea of they could go in and they could look at a report. That's going to show them that. But this is super easy, right? It just tells them specifically, like, you're 75% there, you need 5 more. Whatever that specific is, they can just look at this and they'd be able to easily know, okay, that's where I'm at for today. And then these nice little color-coded bars also kind of help you with letting you know maybe if it's a daily goal, like we had that, they need to make 41 calls per day. It's really helpful for them to know if it's green that they're kind of on track. They're doing a good job. And then if it's yellow, they still need more. If it's red, they're in real trouble. They can kind of get an idea by looking at this, and they know maybe how they need to allocate the rest of their day. All right, so anytime you're ready to create a new target, you'll just click on, let's see real quick. Actually, I want to see if that thing that there we go. So that new one got created right there. So you'll see it as soon as you create it. We'll come back into our target. We'll make a new target. And then you can create a target off a KPI. Now, it's important to note, you have to have the KPI created before you can create the target. So just make sure to mention or keep that in mind. If you're going and try to create a target, you might be like, well, why can't I do this? You need to have the KPI that you're interested in set first. All right, so we can create the KPI or the target here. We set the KPI that we want to work off of, and we'll just select that one we just made. And then you can select the target period. So if you want this to be a monthly target or a weekly or quarterly or whatever you need. So we'll go ahead, we'll stick with that quarterly option. And then what's really cool is it's going to show you here how you can set the target. You have both the number of the average over the last quarter, and then you also have the last month score. So this is kind of helpful for you in kind of figuring out what you want your target to be, right? You can use these numbers to figure out which one would make the most sense. And you can also create targets on either a personal level, so just for yourself. You can create them for the company overall. You can create it for teams, so if you've got different sales teams or different regions that they're working. And you can also scroll down here and you can set it for different users. So you can select specific users and populate the targets in there. So I'm just going to take a look here. I know last quarter it says that I had 18 created. I want to be like optimistic, and I'm just going to set it to be 20 because I want to get a little bit more. Hopefully I would be a little bit more aggressive than that, but just for the purpose of this, we'll set that to 20. And then we'll hit next, and then it's just going to give us a little overview. It's going to say, all right, we're creating this off this KPI. It's going to give you the specifics, and then you can just save it. And then once you save it, that target gets created. So then as you continue to create targets, you'd be able to kind of see them on your dashboard here. And you can also add them onto the homepage dashboard if you like as well. All right, so moving one step further, how do you create a contest? So this is the piece that really is helpful for kind of motivating your team and getting them to drive to do more. So to create a contest, you'll just come into your contest section. and you'll see a list of any existing contests you have. So, like we said, like on the home page, you can kind of see a mixture of everything. When you go into each of these pieces, it'll show just the specifics. Let's take a look at our existing contests that we have. So immediately, as soon as you create that contest, it's just going to get added into your contest page, and you'll be able to kind of immediately apply it to your team, and they can start working on it. Now, the big thing we talked about before is, once you've got this created, obviously they can come into Motivator, they can take a look on the dashboard or in the contest screen, but you probably want to put it up on a TV channel. So once you put it up on a TV channel, that's what's going to give you the ability to broadcast it on your sales floor or in your break rooms or your conference rooms or anything like that, so that it's kind of one of those things of they can't escape it. Every time they look up, they're going to see those numbers. Okay, so if we take a look at a TV channel that we have in here, all right, well, that's good. So your TV channel brings up your leaderboard. So you'll be able to kind of see overall the contest that's running, and it'll just scroll through any other contests that you have. So when you create your channel and you add the contest into it, you'll be able to put this up there, and it's just gonna run through and continue to kind of show you each of your contests so you can get an idea of who's winning, right? And so this is good because it's just going to constantly update, and you'll be able to put that up there, and it'll kind of just keep reminding everybody, this is where you stand right now. Okay, and one other thing to note in here is that we also have a mobile app for Zoho Motivator. So that's good because they're going to be able to, track their progress or take a look at their dashboard from anywhere. And it's also going to give notifications in real time. So this is really good because I think this is helpful for the sales team, especially when there's a contest running. They want to get alerted right away if somebody's beating them, right? So let's say, I know our own sales team can get pretty competitive with this. We have a contest going. Joel might be in first place, and it might be a contest for calls made. Like you need to log the most calls in a month. And so he's doing a pretty good job, and he feels comfortable. It's like the last day of the month, and he thinks, all right, I'm going to go to lunch now. So he takes a nice lunch, and then one of our other sales team guys like Mark will just be waiting for him to go to lunch. And as soon as he's gone, he just starts mad dash calling people. And all of a sudden, Joel gets a notification that Mark has passed him on the leaderboard. Joel will literally stop eating lunch right away, and he'll rush back to the floor so he can get back on the phone. And I've seen this happen. It's fun. Everybody gets along, but it really kind of, even if they're good friends, that little competitiveness between them can kind of help them to make more calls, which at the end of the day is just helping Zoho make more money. So it's a good idea. I'm going to jump back over here. So I just wanted to now take a look or show you guys a customer use case that we have. So this is one of our companies that we have. I believe they're located in Australia, and they were really really happy with Motivator, and they sent us some screenshots of how they're using it. But basically, they've got Motivator all set up, and they've got it on their TV screens in their conference room. So they've got their scorecards and their dashboards displayed. And they also have it set up in their sales floor, which I think is the most optimal place for it, just because that's where everybody's working all day. They'd be able to just look up and see this anytime, especially that leaderboard, and you can see those stats on there. But yeah, so what they said was the main thing was it boosted their lead to potential conversion rate by 30%, and it increased their potential to invoice conversion rate by 15%. Right? And that's huge. That's a big jump. Who wouldn't want 15% more in revenue? So this is helpful, right? This is a really good tool, and they're really happy with it. Doesn't this company look like so much fun? They're just randomly all dressed up like superheroes. So they're really happy with the product. It's been helping their team out quite a bit. So I just want to jump over a couple of the new features that we've recently updated in Zoho Motivator. So one of the things is that we've set up for easier access navigation. So before, the menu bar was located on the kind of left-hand side running down the screen. And now, as you saw in the demo, we've moved it along the top. So it's very similar to how you see it inside CRM and your other applications. We also have a unified dashboard. So before, you weren't able to put different metrics like KPIs and targets and contests all on one dashboard, but now you can do that. You don't have to go to each one individually. You can also compare with Entile. So I don't know if you caught when I was in my Motivator or in my demo account. This is a really good one. So inside a target, you can actually see multiple. So you don't have to just set it for one user specifically. You can actually make it and say, show me for several different users or for several teams. So you can kind of see that all in one scorecard. And you can also drag and drop. So this dashboard will allow you to kind of move things around and adjust them as you need to easily. So you're also going to have an activity log. So if you're familiar with like the audit log inside the CRM, that lets you kind of see a running like tally of everything that's going on really from an overview standpoint, you have that option inside Zoho Motivator as well now. All right, so that is the end